Chapter Chats with D&D and our special guest, C. I'm Denise.
I'm David.
I'm Christina.
And so we are having our first ever guest star. This is Chapter Chats number
12.
And we are talking about All You Need Is Kill. And this is our first, this is a graphic novel technically, right? Or manga?
It is actually a manga.
Manga. It's our first ever manga to support and kind of just let everyone know about the new business in town. You want to tell everyone a little bit about your store?
Sure. So me and my husband, we own Nana Kurobi. It's a Japanese and anime store here in Russellville. We're over by Cracker Barrel in a little shopping mall. But we carry a very large selection of manga. We carry all kinds of anime, merchandise, figurines, model kits. You name it, we can probably find it for you.
They're pretty cool. We've been in there.
Yeah.
David more than me. He has a problem.
It's not a problem.
Not a problem when you're supporting a local business.
Yes. Bear that in mind.
Yep.
But yeah, so we're very excited to have them here. And so we as Dog Ear Books are very supportive, and we're going to be kind of downsizing what we have and kind of sending people over there so that they can get what they need. Let's talk about All You Need Is Kill. How would you guys rate this?
I would give it 4 deadheads.
4 Deadheads.
I would give it 5 deb heads, mostly off of personal bias. One, I thought it was really neat that the story itself was originally a light novel that was very popular. It was adapted into a manga, and then was actually so popular that it got turned into the American movie Edge of Tomorrow that has Tom Cruise in it.
Yes, David did tell me that about it. That's actually, David had read this book before we decided to do it for this, because he found it out, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I saw the movie, and the movie was pretty good, and I was like, oh, hey, it's based on a manga, and there's only 2 of it. That's pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty neat too, because it does also take a little bit of a different twist in the story than the movie does, which I'm sure, cinematic reasons, they're like, oh, it'll be so much cooler if we do this. But I actually personally liked the twist in the manga a whole lot better than I did in the movie.
Everyone knows books are better. I would give it probably like 4.25. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'd probably give it 4 deb heads. I think it's the first full manga I've ever read. So, although the ending was a little open, and so thank you for the clapping. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so let's, I guess, talk a little bit about it, and then we'll get into our ones for our Patreons, who we thank for Patreoning us. That's a word.
Yeah.
So the general synopsis, do either of you want to?
Sure. So the general synopsis that I would give for the story is this is set in a not too distant future. Basically, the world has been invaded by these aliens that are called mimics. They entirely just want to destroy all of life and take over the world for themselves. The story follows our main character, who is in the army and is trying to help fight the mimics, and the mishaps and misadventures of what happens when he actually goes into battle and dies repeatedly. But it's a very interesting story. It very much plays into the sci-fi realm, I would say, but it is a really good war story as well. But definitely worth a read, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I like stories where like time kind of repeats, because I like when people grow, even though it's not like with the rest of the world kind of thing. I don't know. I like stories like that. I think one of my favorites is like The Librarians. That's real sad. So be careful. But yeah, I did really like this one. I liked how they did it, and it made sense, because sometimes they don't make sense.
Yeah, I do like that there's a purpose behind the time repeating. And it's not just congrats, magic time repeats.
Yeah.
There's actually a reason and purpose behind it.
Yeah,
it's
it's
cool.
not just Groundhog Day.
Yeah, and it was very like realistic in that it wasn't just a happy ending. Like, I know Emily doesn't love everything to have a happy ending, so you might like this one, because it's like,
It's
you said,
bittersweet.
yeah, like you said, it's a war. Like, there's fighting, things are happening, and not everything ends happily. Like, It's kind of how life and war works. So
I actually liked the side characters. What little you see of them is still really impressive how much you actually figure out about them.
They had a nice bit of flavor and like rounding out of the story without overwhelming and taking over it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the two main characters.
Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise.
Basically.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And they the story is almost entirely just them. There's his bunkmate that you see a fair amount at the beginning, but other than that, there's not really a whole lot of interaction with any of the other characters. But you still, it still feels like a fleshed out world, and there's a lot of depth to it anyway, and that was nice.
on to our Patreon. Let's get into some spoilers.